All right, so after all the hype, all the build-up, the 2025 Ashes finally kicked off in Perth. And what we got was, well, one of the most chaotic, unbelievable opening days in recent memory. If you thought they'd ease into the series, you were wrong. This was a full-throttle sprint from the very first ball.
19. That's the number. 19 wickets on day one. I mean, to give you some perspective, that's the most wickets we've seen on the opening day of an Ashes test since way back in 1909. It was just absolute carnage out there, and it's left this match on a total knife's edge.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. Even the players were left completely shell-shocked. Pat Cummins said it felt like 4 days' worth of cricket packed into one. And he's not wrong. Every single ball felt like a major event.
So the big question is, how did the opening day of the biggest series in cricket descend into pure, unadulterated mayhem? Well, let's get into it.
The stats from the day are just absurd. For the first time ever in the Ashes, both opening partnerships failed to score a single run. England's entire innings, over and done in just 197 balls. That's barely a session and a half. And to top it all off, we had two different bowlers putting on an absolute clinic. This wasn't just a tough day for the batters, it was truly historic.
The chaos really began with one man. Now, Australia were missing their main pacers, Cummins and Hazlewood, so the pressure on Mitchell Starc was immense. But did he just step up? No. He put on an absolute masterclass. From the get-go, Starc was simply unplayable. He was finding this lethal late swing at blistering pace. He gets Zach Crawley in the first over, and then he just starts dismantling England's senior players. Getting Joe Root for a duck was a huge blow, and by the time he bowled Ben Stokes, Starc had basically ripped the heart out of England's entire batting lineup.
He ended up with just astonishing figures. 7 wickets for 58 runs. Look, this wasn't just a great spell of bowling. This was the best performance of his entire 101-match Test career. A truly legendary spell under enormous pressure.
So, thanks to Starc's absolute brilliance, England were rolled for just 172. And at this point, you're thinking the game is over, right? Australia looked to be in complete control with what seemed like a pretty simple path to a huge first innings lead.
But this is the Ashes we're talking about, and momentum can flip in an instant. What Starc did with the ball, well, England's captain was about to write his own incredible chapter in the day's drama.
Just when Australia thought they had this thing in the bag, Ben Stokes responded with a furious, game-changing counterpunch.
I mean, England's bowlers came out absolutely breathing fire. Jofra Archer strikes right away. And then, in a collapse that was almost a mirror image of England's, Australia's top 4 were suddenly gone for just 31 runs. It was unbelievable to watch.
And that's when Ben Stokes decided to bring himself on to bowl. And in the space of just 36 devastating deliveries, he completely took over the game. He turned a little fight back into a full-blown assault.
He just tore through Australia's middle order. Just when it looked like they might be building a partnership, Stokes sent them packing. He then just dismantled the lower order, taking 5 huge wickets in a spell that was all about relentless aggression. Just pure genius.
And as his teammate Bryden Carr said, it was a truly pivotal moment. Stokes' performance didn't just get wickets, it single-handedly dragged England back from the absolute brink and put them in an unbelievable position of strength.
So, after all that chaos, after 19 wickets fell in a single day, the whole match is now balanced on a razor's edge. Let's look at where things stand. Australia ended the day 9 wickets down. They're still trailing England's first innings score by 49 runs, with only their last 2 batsmen left at the crease.
So here's the crucial point. Despite getting bowled out for what seemed like a disastrously low score, England somehow ended the day in a surprisingly dominant position. They went from the verge of disaster to holding a pretty significant advantage.
So the stage is set for an absolutely electrifying second day. A day that started with an English collapse has ended with them right on top. And the question now is, can they hammer home that advantage and turn one of the wildest days in Ashes history into a famous victory? We'll have to wait and see.